In this video, I set out to build my ideal chicken coop. Chickens are easy to take care of and can provide you with lots of eggs. However, to keep the hens providing you with daily eggs, it's super important to keep them healthy in an environment they feel safe, well-fed, and watered. We are going to cover a complete start-to-finish chicken coop build, answering the most critical questions in building a chicken coop your chickens will love, that will give you lots of eggs, look great, and most importantly, make it easy to maintain. Currently, my hens are in a super small coop I picked up at the farm store. The hens are all packed in, super hot, and making a giant mess in this little coop. It's just about to hit 100-degree temperatures, and I've got to get this chicken coop built. My goals for this coop is to have it completely finished before the snow flies here in Utah. Try to keep the build under $1,500 and get the hens out of the heat of this little tiny hen house and give them a big run to run around in. As soon as my family decided to get chickens and brought these little hens home, I spent hours upon hours researching ideas in building my ideal chicken coop. I talked with neighbors that have had chickens for years, watched like a million YouTube videos, and read article after article, all to find out more about chickens and chicken coops. So let's get right into it. I started out with this chicken coop by building a concrete base so that the chicken coop would have a nice flat surface to build the framing on. I went ahead and built some concrete forms and then filled them with a little bit of gravel and then added the concrete mix. Now it's time to build the base for the hen house. I chose to build it primarily out of pressure-treated wood so that it would last a long time. I used one 4x4 and cut it into 4 24-inch pieces, and then used 2x4s for the rest of the base, using clamps to help me hold it together while I used high-quality exterior-grade screws so that they would not rust over time like regular wood screws. I built the base separate from the hen house so that I could separate the hen house from the base to make it a little easier to move just in case we move in the future. I ordered some black PVC coated galvanized 1/2-inch square wire mesh. I ordered this from Grainger.com. It comes in 4 feet wide rolls, and I used it for the sides of the base, and I'll also use it in the chicken run later. I used just your standard tin snips to go ahead and cut the wire mesh. However, I would suggest using gloves because it has a tendency to come up and cut your hand. So I'm really glad I picked up this Porter cable stapler. It's making this job a lot easier. I think trying to do it with like one of those handheld staplers, that would suck. I'm wanting to put a lot more of these staples in than I thought I would, so it's working out pretty good. What I did was just kind of cut the corners out of this wire mesh so that I could kind of fit it in there. And then I think I'm going to take like a 2x4 and put it here and a 2x4 to put it here. It'll add a little bit more strength and it'll hold the wire mesh firmly to the wood on the outside. I decided to flip the base upside down and cut the bottom support out of the way so that the chickens could move freely underneath the hen house and so that I could clean underneath the hen house easier. I then took a 4x sheet of plywood and cut it to a 60-inch length. I purposely made the base 4 feet wide so that it would be the exact width of the plywood to save cost and materials, and so that I only needed to make one cut. With the plywood flooring clamped down to the base, I then took exterior screws around the whole perimeter of the base, and then I also installed a center support to give a little bit more strength to the flooring and attach that down as well. I thought I'd give it a bit of a strength test by adding a few jumping jacks. Alright guys, super happy with the way this is turning out. It's really sturdy. The hens are going to enjoy getting underneath the hen house, getting out of the sun. Like today, it's super friggin' hot. It's mid-July here in Utah and it's hot. This is going in a pretty hot spot in my yard. However, I've got an apple tree that I just planted, but it's gonna take some time to grow. So for now, I'm gonna build this inside the garage for as long as I can before it gets too heavy. I'm about ready to get started on the framing of the hen house, and a tool that comes in really handy that I've used for years is a rafter square. These squares, you can use them for drawing straight lines for your cut on a board. They're very, very useful for getting particular, like a degree of an angle. If you're needing to try to figure out the angle, like I'm gonna have the one side of the hen house higher than the other, so I've got to determine the angle of the cut of the 2x4s. This will help with that. Crescent Tools sent me one to try out. So I've had this thing for probably 10 years, love it. I'll put a link to the description of this one below the video. This one's pretty cool. It's made out of aluminum. Basically the same concept, almost the same design. Really the only difference is it is aluminum instead of a plastic, and then it has this little cool thing that pulls out like this. It allows you to do a straighter line on like a bigger board. You know, some of the boards that are 10, 12 inches wide, you're able to get a straight line drawn without having to swap it from side to side. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna try it out with this project, where this is a perfect project to try one of these. So thank you, Crescent, for sending me this, and we'll check it out, see if I like it. I then used my miter saw to start framing up the walls for the hen house. I have built this up as much as I could in the garage. I didn't want to take it any further because then it would make it too hard to move. I used heavy-duty lag screws to attach the framing to the base, starting by drilling a pilot hole. Then I used the impact driver to tighten them down. Once I had both sidewalls attached to the base, I started making the measurements and cuts for the back wall of the hen house, framing in a couple supports and also the back window. I framed in 3 windows on the hen house, one on the front above the nesting box, one on the side facing inside the run, and the one on the back. Putting a couple boards to frame in and secure the nesting box, along with some additional boards so that the exterior paneling can attach to the framing. I then used my Sawzall to cut the bottom board out of the side wall for the cleanout door. I made the framing for the hen's access door so that the opening was 11 inches high and 9.5 inches wide. This is the ideal size for most chickens. So that my wife doesn't kill me, I have to try to keep this build under $1,500. So far in supplies, I've used $396.76 of my budget. This covers the wire mesh used, plywood flooring, pressure treated wood, concrete, 2x4s, lag bolts, and exterior grade screws. I laid the exterior paneling down on some 2x4s in the garage and used my circular saw to cut them to size. Using a temporary 1x4 attached to the base gave me a way to rest the paneling to the hen house while I attached it using some exterior screws. Because I wanted the chicken coop to last a really long time, I chose to use this exterior paneling from the Home Depot because it comes pre-primed and is designed to resist decay. It was really easy to install, paint, and looks great. It works best to cut out the doors, windows, and openings with a router and a cutout bit. To use this method, first drill a hole for the router bit to fit into inside the opening and then run the router bit along the board of the opening. Not a bad idea to get some safety glasses before you get some sawdust in your eye like I did. I then installed the roof decking with some standard OSB board. This hen house is big enough to house 6 to 10 chickens. You want your hens to have about 2 to 3 square feet per bird. We only have 5 hens, so this would allow us to add more hens in the future. The exterior paneling and the roof decking added another $258.85, totaling us up to $655.61. I just keep waiting for her to prounce on one of these things. Keeping these babies out of my garden is a pain in the butt. Get out of here. Come on. It. Alright, so now it's time to get started on the chicken run, and I'm just basically taking some 2x4s, attaching them to the hen house with some of these lag bolts here. And I've got 2 of them on there already. Just going to put this one up here, then we'll build out the rest of the framing for the run and get this thing done. Alright guys, because there's so much information in this video, we're going to make it into 2 parts. So make sure you stay tuned for part 2, where we cover finishing the run, we cover the painting, building the doors, the windows, finishing the nesting box, we cover the trim, accessories for the coop, inside the hen house, the roofing, and some of the things I've learned. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and watch the second video.